Yeah, I just relegated the button to you. One day, I'm gonna clean my storage area out in the next few weeks, and I'm gonna pull out that box, and we're gonna figure out how to make these buttons work.
Yeah, I want some sound effects.
And put some stuff in there. I'm just dumb at. It's not that I'm dumb at that stuff. It's just not intuitive to me, and I have to stop and think. Like
So
when
if you push anything now, it doesn't. Oh, it just lights up. Yeah, it's just like, oh, it's a fun light. Well, that's entertaining.
yeah,
Light show. It's like Tic Tac.
and if you look over here, it's
doesn't do anything.
But at some point in time, they will do something.
I thought maybe they had like a default thing.
Oh,
just like
yeah.
Some like default to like boo, jink.
No, but the cool thing about that is we can make our own little things. Oh, but when I hooked up the thing for Jerry when he came and sat in with us, I couldn't figure out why his mic wasn't working because I had this set and I went into the menus and set everything. You got to turn the volume up over here.
It's knobs.
Yeah, I
knobs.
completely forgot about turning those knobs up. So there you go. We're not too smart here on storytelling on the plane sometimes.
Don't know the knobs.
But you know what, Connor? You know I go down a lot of rabbit holes, right? Mm-hmm. Rabbit trails. Sorry, it's rabbit holes back in New York where I'm from, and out here it's rabbit trails.
Is it?
I hear people say rabbit trails out here. I never hear them say rabbit holes. I don't know.
I guess I never noticed that.
Yeah.
I thought it was rabbit holes, going down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, to me,
Alice in Wonderland.
Yes, yeah, that makes more sense to me. But you Nebraskans talk weird, so I just go with it.
We actually talk normal. I was just talking about the Johnny Carson effect.
Yeah.
We talk normal here. We're the only ones, in the entire Americas, we're the only ones that talk normal.
Yep.
And y'all are just weird.
Did you know they used to send people to like Omaha and Lincoln to lose their accent before they could go on the big broadcast stations?
I did know that.
Yep.
That's I think that was a part of what's now called the Johnny Carson effect because he started that. He was just such a famous guy that talked in a way that everyone could understand. He didn't have a slang, which I guess they say we don't. I disagree, but they say we don't.
Yeah, you guys have it's different from what I was used to growing up, but it is far more neutral than most places.
I contribute that actually a lot to the Lakota because if you listen to them, it's a slower talk. We talk slower, and if you talk to the Lakota, they talk even slower than we do.
Yes.
So I think that's a lot to contribute to the culture of the area.
Yep.
And it's just a natural slowness.
And I think I talk faster with you because I know you can keep up.
Yeah.
But in general, especially if I'm just meeting someone, I will slow my speech down.
Can't talk like a New Yorker.
Yeah, and then chuck an accent in there. Because you chuck a coffee in there instead.
Coffee. Give me a coffee.
I did that once at the Star Herald. My assistant editor at the time, Bart Shaneman, we were chatting, and he's like, "Did you see where Chabella went?" And I go, "Yeah, I think she went to get some coffee." And then I kept on talking, and he goes, "Wait, did you just say coffee?" And I'm like, "Shut up, dude, just shut up."
See, I've been reading a lot of Stephen King, and of course he's from Maine.
Yep.
And so a lot of his stuff has Maine accents. So it's like, oh yeah. Yep. Oh, and my husband picked up the yut. The yut?
And I had to break him of that habit. I'm like, dude, you're British. No.
You're British.
Don't.
Do it proper.
Oh, yeah.
Say, what are you talking about?
I can't understand you. Oh, I don't even try with the British accent because it's terrible.
Not to change, because I'm thinking Monty Python now. I just got a very nice client of ours gave us one of their. I can only describe it as one of those old rickshaw wagons, kind of a big handled one with the big bicycle wheels on either side, kind of like a wheelbarrow, but more like a rickshaw. And I started doing it, and my husband's like, "Bring out your dead, bring out your dead." I'm like, "God damn it, jeez!" It's like, I'm not dead yet.
Whack. You are now. So that's a rabbit hole we went on, and
There you go.
no one even knows what we're talking about yet.
If you're a Monty Python fan, you better know.
Yeah, you better know. You better know. So I was looking for an area that we hadn't really touched on yet in the Panhandle, and I had started out reading the book that your in-laws had loaned us about the history of Sioux County.
Mm-hmm.
I now have a bigger list of places, and it was like,
Great
oh,
book.
I want to do that, but that's going to take a long time. Ooh, that,
I'm hoping they're actually hoping to do a reprinting of that.
Oh,
And
I
need
would
to
so
actually
buy one.
I do need to get that because I think that needs some funding. So
Okay.
there may be some people interested in this county for that. And I have to check
Yeah,
because there was what you have is a reprint.
right.
A re-edition. And I thought there's supposed to be another re-edition coming up soon because of the years. They do it by the years.
Oh,
So,
okay. I would definitely buy that one, and then I can give it back to your in-laws.
Yeah, that one, yeah. That's my mother-in-law's.
'Cause-
That one's like, I think, written in. Maybe.
Oh, I haven't come across any
Maybe not.
writing-ins
Yeah,
yet, but
it's one of her. That's one of hers. I probably.
but it's a fantastic book, and I'm really thankful that she's let us hold on to it.
Yeah, it has so much cool history.
It
about
does.
The area.
And then you're like, oh, this is 3 paragraphs. And then you start researching it. Oh my God, this is going to take me 3 weeks to do. But it's chock full of really good information. So I was reading through that, and then I was looking. I don't want to spoil what I was looking at because I don't want to promise that I can get that episode done soon. Because I feel like we've been talking about the monument and agate for a long time, and we haven't gotten those done yet. But we also know that those are going to be like 8-parters. So I stumbled upon a story about a forgotten bank robbery in Hay Springs, and we haven't done anything up in that part of the Panhandle yet. There really is like next to no information out there about the bank robbery. So what I do know, we're going to share today on Storytelling on the Plains. Yay, murder, and now we're doing bank robberies.
That is kind of strange. Because the Dillinger Gang was famous around this time. And the Dillinger Gang actually robbed a bank in Sioux Falls, where I used to live, and that's now a law firm. But there's a plaque on the side of the building.
Oh,
that
nice.
says this was once the bank so-and-so bank. I forgot. I think it was the First National because everything's first whatever. And it was held up by the Dillinger Gang.
Nice.
So, I mean...
So yes, you are correct. And the research that I did do, there were a lot of bank robberies, and we're going to get into one that happened right around the time of this one, which is probably why this one was mostly forgotten. So at some point in time, I landed on the Sheridan County Historical Society's website, and they have 2 really cool stories there, and I'm going to do the other one in the near future. But today we're going to talk about the robbery, which happened on September 18th, 1930. So my grandma was just 2 months short of her 8th birthday. She was not robbing banks in New York. She was just being an 8-year-old.
My grandma wasn't even born yet.
Oh.
It's another 14 years away.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So since there is little information out there, I'm going to be relying heavily on the Historical Society's website, which typed up an article by James Denny that ran in the Sunday World Herald magazine of the Midlands on September 18th, 1983. And I did go online and try and find it. I couldn't find it anywhere. I even looked on eBay to see if there might be an issue. There's quite a few Sunday World Heralds that are somehow related to the Huskers. They got some kind of Husker story in it, but I wasn't able to find this one. So the cool thing I thought was that someone out there in Sheridan County had a copy of this story and typed the whole dang thing up and put it up on the website to preserve the story.
I have nothing else to do up in Hay Springs.
Yeah. I wasn't going to say it, but there you go.
I guess we probably should explain. So Hay Springs locale would be just north of Alliance off of Highway 2, I believe.
Yes. Yeah.
If you go, I think it's 30 minutes north, maybe, 35 minutes north. So about middle of nowhere as nowhere can be.
Yeah.
Alliance is already kind of in the middle of nowhere, but Hay Springs is just a little farming community. I don't even know the population is above 1,500 maybe.
I have it.
1,000.
I have it in here. $5.99 today.
Okay.
So not quite 600.
Yeah, not quite 600. It's small town.
Yeah. Yeah. So if you are on the younger side, you might not know what these magazines were. But if you are my age, maybe even Connor remembers, in the Sunday paper, you would have a little newspaper magazine that had little feature stories and stuff in it, and it would be inserted into the Sunday paper, and it basically was inside the Sunday's Omaha World Herald, and it was called the Magazine of the Midlands. I believe the Washington Post still does theirs.
It's interesting. I guess I never did see that.
Oh, you never did? Okay.
No, I wasn't really much of a... The funny thing is I delivered papers, but I
You
never
didn't read
read them. No, I didn't. I wasn't one of those kids. No. I wasn't one of those kids that got done delivering the newspaper and then flipped it open and it's I wonder what's going on today. I was a 90s kid. It was all going to be on the news tonight. I didn't.
Oh, okay.
We had the local news. We had the national ABC nightly news. Whatever.
We had to do current events. At least 4th through 12th grade. I'm not sure if we had to do it first, second, third. Mm-hmm. And I delivered newspapers, so I was always on the lookout for a decent story because we had to do them. And it wasn't like when my husband taught social studies down in Gearing. I believe his were once a week. Mm-hmm. And he made the adjustment that if you want to do a story online, from an online legitimate source, you need to print it up and bring it in so that he could tell that it was online legit. And he only did once a week. And I swear ours, we had to do 5 a week. And then the teacher would pick some random kids and you could pick one of your 5 to talk about. But that was how they got us reading the news. And even then, I'm not as much of a newspaper geek as my husband is every day after school. So he did deliver an afternoon newspaper, but after school, he would go up to the library, which was literally 2 blocks from his house, and read 4 or 5 newspapers every day.
Jeez, good for him.
There was just one thing he was super, super interested in. So he is more knowledgeable of worldly things even than I am, just because of his innate interest. I did it because I had to have 5 newspapers done every week. So thank you to the Sheridan County Historical Society's website for typing this story up. And I guess back in 1983, thank you to the Sunday World Herald and James Denny for doing this story, or I wouldn't have I literally did not know about this story until about 4 weeks ago. So you can find some of those magazines on eBay. I just couldn't find this particular issue. And I looked on some of my Sailing the High Seas websites, and it's not out there. I didn't think it would be, but you look anyway. So Hay Springs was established in 1885, and like many other towns in western Nebraska, it began when the railroad had extended there. It was officially incorporated as a village in November 1885, and the town has always been small, with a population of 378 in 1890 and a peak of 1,091 in 1950. Today, the town's population is 599, and at the time of the robbery, there were 853 people in town. So there were more people living in the town when the bank got robbed than today. Although it's going to be pretty hard to rob a bank today, even in Hay Springs.
Is there still a bank in Hay Springs?
Yes, and I only know that because I did this story.
Fair enough.
So on that day, 15-year-old William A. Holstein was standing in the doorway to the First National Bank where he witnessed the robbery. And we also have to thank him a lot for, I tried to see if I could find an obit and stuff. I didn't find one. Doesn't mean he's still alive or dead. I just didn't find one in the search that I had done, and maybe I was looking at the wrong place. But he talked to the police, and he talked to Mr. Denny, who wrote this article back in 1983. So I do not, somewhere in here, I have his age, and I think it'd be highly unlikely that he's alive today, and that I probably couldn't find his obit because it was far enough back that it wasn't online. But anyway, thank you, Bill, for talking to the newspaper dude, so we have recollections of this story. So one of the 5 robbers had a revolver stuck in his ribs, and it's Holstein's recollections that the story for the paper relied on, and what I'm going to rely on as well. Holstein said it was a warm and pleasant day. His grandmother, Kay, had traveled from Stanton to visit the family. I included this in here. There's a bit more detail about it in the story on the Sheridan County Historical Society's website, so go read that. But it makes me smile because all those stories that I read where people write stuff about their life, they're always including other people. Because he didn't need to include the fact that his grandma was visiting, but his grandma was visiting. So he went home from high school for lunch, and his mom sent him to the grocery store. That's an important detail for where we're going to go right here next, but not that his grandma Kay was visiting from Stanton. But you come across that so often, especially from older folks out here in the Panhandle. They're always including, like, oh, I came home from school for lunch and visited with my grandma Kay, and, she was talking to so-and-so, and they were doing this, that, and the other thing. And it's not important to the story, but to me, it's important because it's a neat little slice of life.
Well, I find myself doing it. I think that's the old... It's still, and most of the generation beyond me doesn't do it.
No.
But I still came from the generation where you did sit and talk to your grandparents. Mm-hmm. We had television, of course, and cable and everything, but it just, technology as it is today wasn't a thing
there
then. We didn't have cell phones yet. You still had to talk to people on normal phones. When the internet came on, that'd turn off your phone, and we still had cable TV, and most of the time we couldn't afford it, so we had antennas.
Yep.
Still, the old bunny ears. So
yep.
In that, when you say I went and talked to my grandparents, I did that every afternoon with my great-grandparents. We would have lunch together, and that's just something that you did back then. So if you'd mention it, because that's just was your day.
Yep.
That was just a natural part of your day.
Yep. So I'm going to read from the article where it quotes Holstein. Holstein recalled that on his noontime walk to the store, he saw a tan Buick coming up Main Street en route to the bank. As it went by, he added, I noticed that there was a submachine gun in the back seat. He continued, I was well aware that bank robberies were taking place in Nebraska. Naturally, when I saw the submachine gun, I wondered if we are going to have one too. So what I find curious is that he doesn't think to go find some law enforcement. He goes to the grocery store and buys the groceries his mom sent him to get, and he comes back out and he sees the Buick parked in front of the bank with the driver still in it and the motor idling. I mean, it's hilarious because his first thought was, yeah, there have been a lot of places that have been robbed recently in the state. I wonder if we're next. And then he goes to the grocery store.
I find that probably is like a back thought. I wonder. And also like the machine gun. What do you mean by a machine gun in the 1930s? You mean like a Tommy gun?
It was probably a Tommy gun. Yeah, some machine gun then. That would be what I would think.
It has that just hanging out in the back seat. I wonder if this is a little embellishing on the storyteller's part.
Yeah.
It's like I saw a Tommy gun in the back seat, and I'm like, whoa, howdy, something's coming my way. And like, that sounds very Nebraskan of you. Like, of course you did, Tommy. Of course you did. Lassie's on his way.
And if you think about it, he was 15 in 1930.
15, yeah.
And he's telling this story in 1983, so it's 50 years later.
Yeah.
So
it's embellishing.
Yeah.
It's natural embellishing.
Yeah.
You're not that cunning at 15 years old. Looking back at it, it's like, well, I should have maybe noticed this, and I should have maybe noticed that. But at the time, no. You were a 15-year-old kid, you didn't know his shit. You were trying to get your mom's chores done so you could get it out of your head and do whatever a 15-year-old boy does. That doesn't
on their lunch break.
On their lunch break, it's just like you don't want to go to the grocery store and do chores for your mom, no matter how much you love her.
And
my lunch break, Mom.
And it might be, and it might be the events of the rest of the day kind of colored what his initial thought, because he might have seen the gun and was just like, "What the heck," and then just kept on going. And then later on, you piece together, oh, yeah. But since we don't have all of that and we don't have a time machine, we can't really do much else. So it's funny, said Holstein, how you remember little things at a time like this. I recall that 2 of the grocery items were cantaloupes, and they were right on top of the sack. I never dropped them during the whole affair. That's another thing you Nebraskans talk funny about. A sack is what you put animal feed in. You put your groceries in a bag. That's one of those terms I will never. That and pop. It will always be soda. It is not pop. If you ask, can I have a pop? I'm gonna punch you in the face. That's a pop. No, I won't punch you, Connor. Just other people.
Yeah, that's old contention here. Surprisingly enough, that's actually a 50-50 in this community. A lot of people think, oh, we all say pop. Actually, that's not true.
No.
It's like one of those potato things. There's a lot of people here that say soda.
Yeah, which is good. My influence is having an effect. It's all me. It's all me, people. So his curiosity caused him to head straight for the bank, which in retrospect was probably a very foolish act on my part. But you know how kids are. They always want to find out what's going on in a little town, he said. Yeah, I find the adults in little towns also want to always know what's going on. I
could see that, yeah.
Yeah, and I could see that. You know, you're coming back, you see that same car, and it's sitting out front, and it's just idling its engine, and you know enough about bank robberies, and you're a 15-year-old boy, you're like, yeah, I'm going to go see if...
in the 1930s. When was Elliot Ness going on? Was that about this time, or is this too early for the tales of Elliot Ness? Because seems, or maybe there's probably some comic book version of...
definitely some Pulp Fiction out there. Yeah. So as he gets to the doorway of the bank, he was stopped by Claude Hendricks, one of the robbers. Hendricks was a big, tall guy, and the others called him Slim. He stuck a pistol into my ribs and said, "Sonny, if you don't run and holler, I won't hurt you." Holstein added, "Now I was scared."
Okay, so this guy's not from Nebraska, right? Who says that? "Sonny, if you don't run and holler, I won't hurt you."
Yeah.
Nobody from Nebraska talks like that.
No, not even in 1930. So Connor, what would you have done before we go on here?
Well, other than what I just did, which is laugh my ass off. It's like, mister, where are you from?
Yeah, that's actually a Nebraska thing. You would have struck up a conversation with the guy. Yeah.
"Mister, where are you from?" You do know our bank don't have a lot of money, right? Even for the 1930s, we probably don't have a lot of money, but you know.
And I could see you at some point going, "Can I see your gun? What kind of gun is that?"
Is that real? Is that real, mister?
Do you make your own bullets?
Boy, howdy, I had never seen a villain before. Shucks darn.
Oh, gosh. So Holstein began observing everything inside the bank. He later said that the robber identified as Harold Domacy seemed to be the one in charge.
Wait. He said my name's Harold Domacy.
Oh, no, he was later identified as Harold. Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to get my true name. My name is Harold Domacy, and boy, homie.
I got this gun. My name's Irene North, and give me all the money.
Gun
yeah.
In case I drop it.
And I got a T-shirt with my name on it too. No, he was later identified as him. I just filled in some of the blanks because as I was going, I thought when I was reading it out loud, the descriptions of the robbers might get confusing for people trying to listen to it on a podcast. Where if I say it was Harold that was in charge, you can kind of stick with Harold, and that's what he was later. That's who he was later identified as. So Holstein saw two other men putting. See, you got me talking like you guys.
We don't say puddin'.
Puddin'. Yeah, now
that's
I want.
That's what you eat. That's what you put in your mouth is puddin'.
Yeah, and I could go for some pudding.
Some chocolate pudding.
He saw two other men putting what he thought were valuables into a white sack, and the article doesn't say what the valuables were. Also, there was only one person working at the bank during the noon hour, and Holstein identified him as Tom Morrison. So poor Tom gets to be held up today.
Well, and that's actually a good point. Banks at that time, I assume, were more safety deposit boxes, like they kind of are today. I don't know if you have a safety deposit box, but my mom does at the local bank, and that's where you show your grandpa's great dead jewelry, whatever, your coins and your and things you don't want to maybe burn up in a house.
Yeah.
And if they burn up in the bank, they're insured. And I would assume in Hay Springs that was the majority of what was in the bank itself. As far as valuables, like they took valuables, I assume there was stuff in safety deposit boxes.
Yeah, because I don't think we had the FDIC. That came with, maybe no.
Not yet.
Not yet. We're a couple of years off of that.
In the courts, probably as an idea by now, but we're past the Depression. But the FDIC.
And it also doesn't. Yeah, it also doesn't surprise me that. Poor old Tom's the only one working over the lunch hour because you probably only had two people.
Yeah,
I mean, there's not
there's you probably to this day only have
one or two people working at that bank. So while Holstein is being held at gunpoint, a fellow high school student, Marianne Eberly, walks by and says hello to him. He didn't reply, but he noted the getaway.
Again, such a Nebraska thing. Hey, mister, that's a big shiny gun you got there. What you doing? What you doing out here in these parts?
So Holstein didn't reply, but he noted that the getaway driver smiled at her and Marianne waved at him.
Stupid Marianne.
Get a clue, he's got a gun in his ribs.
Damn it, Marianne, you're so dumb.
I guess the reason I didn't respond, said Holstein, is that I was scared. I just kept staring at Hendricks, and I could feel the gun in my ribs.
It's kind of weird also you have a Hendricks and a Morrison.
Yeah,
this whole thing.
I was wondering if anybody else would pick up on that. So
it's just like Hendricks, Morrison, like Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And it's Tom Morrison, and I was worried I might slip up and say Tony Morrison. So the robbers get what they want, and then they put Tom Morrison in the vault. And I'm not an expert on vaults and what happens when you get trapped in one, but Morrison knew about a latch inside that would keep the vault from being secured. And that's probably a good idea to have one so you don't die inside from a lack of oxygen.
Yeah.
And I didn't have time to research vaults to know when that was instituted and if it still is a possibility today.
It is still instituted. And actually, a weird thing is it's not the only thing that does that. Being a chef, One of the other things we have is emergency latch locks on the inside of freezers, walk-in
The
freezers
walk-ins.
and coolers.
Yep.
For that very reason, because they're latch locked. So once you're latched, you can't push against the door.
Yep.
You'll freeze to death. But there is always an emergency push release on the inside, and a lot of the new cooks never knew this.
How? I knew this.
No one's ever told them. No one's ever really realized it. And I would usually, as a chef, when I train people, I would force them in the cooler and lock them in and make them get out.
That's
like, get
a
out.
good plan. Yep.
Like, what do you mean don't I get out? It's like, there's always a way out of here, dumbass. It's like, you're not going to freeze to death unless you're a dumbass. So go and find, well, how do you get out? And a lot of them didn't know. And even, unfortunately, some of the older models, they don't have the glow-in-the-dark button. Because the glow-in-the-dark thing really helps so you can actually find it. Because some of those walk-in coolers are really big. And the latch is always next to the door. So you have to find the door, and usually it's a spring-load release, and you pop it, and it pushes the whole thing out. But yeah, and vaults, they do that too for the exact same reason.
Okay.
Because there's several things are naturally safety.
Okay. Okay. I knew about the walk-ins because I worked at Taco Bell from 88 to 92 when they made real food. No, what they make today is not real food. No.
But they have that pop lock release because those are latched up doors, and you can get realistically locked in there.
And the Taco Bell on O Street in Lincoln, I want to say it was 92. I'm not sure if it was 91 or 92. I worked at the store downtown, a block off of campus. But the same guy owned both of them, so sometimes we'd pull extra shifts on O Street because they didn't know how to schedule anything. They also didn't know how to order food, and they were constantly calling, "Do you have any extra lettuce?" Dude, seriously, you have years of data. You should know. So we would always, especially on football Saturdays, we would always order extra because we knew they were going to call us and be like, "Do you have any extra cheese? Do you have any extra lettuce?" Seriously, man, go learn how to order. It's not that hard. But anyway, it got robbed, and they pushed everybody into the walk-in.
And
locked them in there, and they were able to break out. And that Taco Bell is, you got to go up a little hill, but the next business over is a Texaco station. This is 91 or 92, so they pulled all the phones out of the wall, so they had to go up to the Texaco station to pull the cops. They later found stupid criminals. One of the kids who thought it was cool, he's like, I know who it was. It was one of their coworkers that robbed the place and didn't do a very good job of trying to disguise who he was, and he got caught. But yeah, they thought that they could put him in the cooler and they would never be able to get out, and they would freeze to death in there, and this is not how they're made. Before they caught the guy, the next morning when I showed up to work, my boss was taking everybody into the cooler. How do you get out if it's frozen shut? Yep. He was making sure. Yep. He was making sure we all knew.
And that device didn't come about through the restaurant system itself. I don't believe so. It actually came about because we had at this time when refrigeration devices came out, home refrigeration devices. They were all latched. They did not have safety in inner devices. And kids would get in there, especially in junkyards. When they're all junked out, they would go play hide and seek in junkyards because that's what kids do. And they'll go into the refrigerator, and it latches shut, and they can't get out, and they can't. And that's actually happened.
There have been few
Stephen
kids.
King actually talks about that in one of his horror films, horror books. But that's why in junkyards, all those old Ohana refrigerators, you'll typically find with the latches broken off for that reason.
Yeah.
So you can't ever do that. But yeah, that if you didn't know that, that's a lot of where that it's live and learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And when I was a kid, if you were taking your old fridge to the junkyard, they wouldn't take it unless you had removed the doors.
Yep, exactly, because they're latch doors.
Yep.
So they even know then. They even knew then that this is like there's a serious chance of something, an animal or a kid getting in there.
Yep. Oh God, yeah.
And as for vaults, vaults have been around for ages.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if everybody knew that once you have a secure vault, you're going to suffocate if you're inside of it. So you better have a way not to suffocate inside of it if you're accidentally locked in.
Yes, yeah. So the robbers hop in the car and take off, and Morrison frees himself from the vault. He gets the sheriff and a deputy and helps in the... sorry, I got my pages mixed up. No, I don't. I don't know how to do numbers, Connor. You flip it over. I was going to the other one. So Morrison frees himself from the vault. He gets the sheriff and a deputy and helps in the pursuit of the robbers. That's not going to happen today. You're not going to be the person held up at the bank, call the cops, and then get in the car and help in the pursuit. You're going to stay back in town.
Well, yeah, today.
Yeah.
But back then...
1930, no.
In Haysprings, what is now Highway 2 that goes to Haysprings, I assume was a dirt road.
Probably, yeah.
And every road that led in and out of Haysprings was probably a
dirt road.
So you actually probably had a good chance of catching them. You couldn't go too fast. And if you hit a pothole or a mud bank, especially if you're not paying attention going really fast, you have a good chance of catching up to them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd go after them, especially in those old Model T Fords it's 1930, so yeah, what, Model T Fords?
Yeah.
I don't know what they would have.
I'm not a car person, dude.
1930s, it's not too much further into the car era.
Yeah.
So it's almost, it's this prohibition. So, you just, again, think of Elliot Ness. You're thinking of the mobster times. You're thinking and those old, big old boxy, bubbly cars that are going around the town. Yeah, I could totally see them going off on one of those.
So the article mentions that early reports thought a plane was involved in the pursuit, but that was just rumors. It's 1930. You're not going to have a plane.
That'd be pretty cool.
That would have been, but no.
Just take off in a plane.
So Holstein pointed out the crooks went 1 block west and then north. He also said the fire alarm sounded right after the Buick left town. So I got to say, I still suck with they went 1 block west and then headed north. I still struggle with the grid system. Now,
but back then, that would have been probably spot on.
Yeah.
You said they went a block west and went north. Everybody know what you're talking about.
Yes.
It's like, oh yeah,
they
went
would,
on this road, out north, this way.
They would know today as well.
Yeah.
But I grew up an hour and a half north of New York City. 1930, I don't know if the full grid pattern was set up yet in New York City because I don't know enough of the history. New York City is very much grid with some crossing streets. Mm-hmm. But where I grew up in the Hudson Valley, no. You have wobbly. My hometown, Main Street is the main street in town, and you will have other roads, bisecting off of that, but we just put a road where we needed a road. There's not really any grid. Yeah. And so that's what I grew up with. And if you said, you want to go from my grandma's house to my uncle's house, you would just say, turn left out of the driveway, go to the end of the street and turn right, and then when you get to the fire station, you want to turn left, or the next block, turn left, and then look for number 39, and there's his house.
There it is, down the way.
And that is how I would still give directions today from my grandma's house to his house.
Us Nebraskans would be like, it's flat out here, look for the smoke. Towards the smoke. You won't get lost. What are you, blind?
Yeah.
Or towards the smoke.
or they'll be like, head east to County Road 27. What? I have gone to, when I worked at the paper, I went to many, many car accidents where I got sent out into the county somewhere, and I have no idea where I'm going, and I just memorized how I got there and came back in reverse. Yep. Because I got lucky a lot of times. If I left at the right time, I could get behind a ambulance or a police car or a fire truck, and then I could just follow them.
Well, surely they know where they're going.
I remember one time, there's a car accident at the intersection of 27th and B, and I had this stupid look, and I'm looking at our media editor, and I'm like, Okay. And I'm trying to figure out where 27th and B is. And she goes, Walgreens, go to Walgreens. Okay, I know where I'm going now. But it's just the differences where we grew up. And when I read this, that the crooks went a block west and then north, I'm like, of course they did.
Yeah, a block west to north in Hay Springs. I mean, you're heading up to South Dakota. I don't know what's up there.
Well,
I can tell you hit the border.
Don't. We're not going to spoil
We're going to spoil it?
No. Well, but you're right. That's where they're headed.
Got to the reservation. Dun, dun, dun.
Holstein also said, then people started gathering at the bank like flies.
Run on the bank.
I was still standing there with my groceries, and the cantaloupe never slipped away. Holstein went home, where he promptly fainted in front of his mother and grandmother. When I awoke...
Was it really? Really? He was like, Mother, Grandma... Did they really mean faint, or did they he sat down and was distressed?
I don't know.
It just seems like a weird word.
Yeah, maybe he did.
Mother, grandmother, I missed a robbery.
When I awoke, he said the two of them were wiping my head with water.
Oh, so he fainted. Jesus Christ, he fainted. Very Nebraskan of you, Holstein. Thanks for chucking us up.
After a brief lunch, Holstein returned to school, but his involvement in with the bank robbers didn't end. I can almost guarantee you, if that was me in New York, my mom would have been like, you don't have to go back to school.
I don't think Holstein was on the football team. I'm just saying. I'm just gonna call it. If you faint after seeing a robbery, I don't think you're on the football team. I'm just saying.
So I want to pause for a moment here. Holstein comes home from school for lunch. His mom tells him to go get some groceries. How long is your lunch at school? No kidding. And you're walking to the grocery store. He sees a car with a submachine gun, but doesn't tell anybody because he's got to go get some cantaloupes. He gets the groceries, wanders over to the bank, and watches it get robbed.
But doesn't drop the cantaloupe.
Yeah, God.
He holds on to those melons like no one's business.
Then he goes home and faints before returning to school. I mean, seriously, what the fuck?
I don't think this was told right. In the right order whatsoever. One of my biggest things is because this is September, right? Is this what didn't you say the date when this was?
September.
This was in September, so this is around harvest season. If you had a break, it would probably have been short for lunch because you would have gotten out early in schools if you were a farm kid. And in Hay Springs, that's more likely the case because you have to go home and till the field. So maybe, this is my thought, maybe their lunch break, maybe the school system decided to use a lunch break as their actual farming break, and it's several hours, and maybe they'll go back at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and learn maybe a bit more before sundown and get back home. Maybe. Being from a rural school myself, I kind of gotten the history of that, because that's how it used to be in Lake Alice, is you would get off at 1, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and you'd go home because you were a farm kid. You had chores to do, and that was just the way it was. By the time I went there in the 90s, it was way different. It was standardized, and everybody went to the full hours, and everybody else went. But you still learned that back then.
Right.
So I imagine in the 30s, it was much the same. You had chores to do. Your school time wasn't 8 hours. Isn't that about how much school time is?
Yeah, it's about how long it is now. Yeah.
You didn't have 8 hours worth of school time. I think maybe you're lucky to get 4.
Okay.
From what I remember and from what I've studied. Maybe I might be wrong.
Yeah.
But it seems like that's more like not so much a lunch break as like a chore break.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you want to know what happened next?
Did he hang on to his melons?
Well, you'll have to come back next week to find out. So hopefully you guys are interested and you'll come back for the next episode and we're going to talk more about it. But for today, I'm Irene.
And I'm Connor.
And this is Storytelling on the Plains.